Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Rocket Hour for a Friday edition. And boy, Ricky, we were talking just before we got on the air. Quiet Friday in horse racing, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say this is arguably one of the more quiet Fridays, especially after just leaving Saratoga. Belmont, which is a fantastic circuit, hasn't opened up yet. Churchill Downs obviously won't compete with Kentucky Downs, so you still have that. And out west, they're at Los Alamitos for a few weeks. Obviously, they'll head out to Del Mar again for a brief time in November there. So it's just a pretty compact Friday, to say the least. But we do have 4 races that we'll cover at Gulfstream. Plenty of money to be made. There's long shots coming in with these lower-level runners all the time. So it's our job to try to provide some information and hopefully get another ticket home.
Yeah, that's right. And we should mention that right off the bat. You, yesterday, on fire at Kentucky Downs. I think that's a good sign for the weekend for sure. The late pick 4 comes in, right? What did they end up paying? Like $352, wasn't it? Something like that?
Yeah, I'll look again now. Yeah, it was something like that. I think 326. The first one was 417. I did miss the middle one there, but it came in the right time, right? Because race 6 doesn't affect everything 7 through 11 at least. Yep. So just missed the middle one. If I had to miss a race, that was the right one to miss it. But yeah, it was a great day. We were talking about it off air. It's just so hard to connect there. It's arguably one of the most difficult in the country. So it was nice to get that home. And it kind of feels like it makes up for the whole 6 days if you have a day like that in a way. Obviously there are 2 more days, but that was the 4th of 6. So it was nice to do that. I do want to apologize to everyone. I forgot to update the free article online. The product was updated. The live stream was updated. The free article was not. If you just went by the free article, you did not hit it. So I am going to apologize in advance. That was actually brought up to me this morning. So I do apologize for that. Not in advance, in retrospect, I should say. But yeah, the live stream is accurate. The product is accurate. So again, I do apologize for that, going back to yesterday.
It just shows you it pays to listen to the Rocket Hour, number 1, and it pays to buy the product, number 2, and you got to take care of your paying customers first. I get it. Yeah, it's one of those things. That's the added bonus, I guess, of buying the product. But you still a great job overall yesterday for you. It was fun to watch that come in, that late pick 4. Of course, I'm out in the first leg and then hit the next 3 legs, and then you use that 6, and we talked about that horse extensively on the show yesterday. Of why, you kind of thought you needed to use that horse, and it paid off in a big way. So pretty good racing yesterday, I thought, from Kentucky Downs. I feel like the first couple of days, there's been some weird stuff happening there. I didn't feel it as much yesterday, other than some weird photos, I guess I should say. Actually, I'll eat my words there. Some photos, it's like, I don't know how that horse just won that they just put up. So that happened early, but the late part of the card, at least, it didn't seem like anything strange was going on.
Yeah, no, I do want to. It's funny you bring up the photo thing, and people are complaining about it. There was a photo that came out. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been a dead heat. I'm not here to, pick up that apart. But it's like the photo came out. This is why we don't call races. We wait for the photos. I've always been a proponent of why does it take so long? I'm never going to argue with the photo. Like you have NFL, NBA, MLB instant replay takes like 6 seconds. We don't need this to take 3 minutes. That's where I differ from people. It's like, how are we breaking down the photo? That's what the photo was. It is what it is. I just take care about how long it takes. That's kind of where I'm at. I got lucky, but I'm sure I'll get a bad break somewhere down the road. It happens to the best of us. It's kind of goes both ways. So
Yeah, I mean, there were two that had happened like that. One I lost and one I won. So it does even out. It seems like you gamble long enough, you're going to get breaks and then you're going to get bad luck. That's just how it goes. Even in the game last night, by the way, congratulations on the over bet. That was definitely the bet that was never really in doubt. But, if you bet Tampa last night and minus the points, you lost, but you could have won that so easily. They turned it over 4 times, including going into the end zone where you would have covered if he doesn't fumble the ball, talking about Godwin fumbles late. And then Dak throws for 400 yards and looks fantastic against a defense that, shut down Pat Mahomes the last time we saw him. So, again, you get lucky sometimes and then you get unlucky sometimes. That's gambling. And you just gotta, if you're going to do it, you got to realize that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you. As we could maybe do a little bit of a further football breakdown, but to your point, like even if Godwin scores, they make the extra point. That's 9. Yeah. You're still pushing. In some places, you're still pushing, and it just goes to show you how 9 points is a lot. And we talked during the game, and I was like, I was happy, I didn't lay the 9. And you're like, well, they easily could have been covering by 9, and I just responded with, well, everything is just one fumble, one pick, away, right? Like one pick 6 changes the entire outcome of the game potentially, especially wagering. So, the over hit. So that was cool. I had a lot of money on that, like a lot. So, and I even showed I even texted you the picture, and I was like, I'm feeling pretty solid about this. So it did slow up in the fourth quarter, but we had gotten to the point where we didn't have to really sweat it out. But it was a great opening game. If the NFL season is anything like that, we are going to be in for a great 4 months, 5 months, 4.5, whatever it is. I can't wait, but it was a great way to kick off the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. Once we're done with Gulfstream, we'll talk a little NFL and college football if you want to kind of end the show. I think it's kind of a lighter show today, and it'd be a good day to do that. But, let's take care of business first, Ricky. You were hot yesterday. You hit the pick 4. Let's get another one home. At least one of us get this one home and make it a really, really good week for the Rocket Hour. It already is, because you hit that for a decent amount of money there and going to pay for a lot. All right, let's get into today. Gulfstream Park, we're back home. And what I mean by that is this is where we used to always cover when we started the show. It seemed like for months we were at Gulfstream Park. We're back here. We're going to start race 6. The late pick 4s, races 6, 7, 8, and 9. 4 claiming races will start here. $35,000 claimers going 6 furlongs on the dirt for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 6, no scratches here, so a short field. I thought this was pretty competitive to lead us off here.
Yeah, we only differed on one horse, and that was the 3, because we both used the 2 and 4. So I'll just take the 1 for now and then bounce off of you. Gitana hasn't been all that great as of late. She's not the same horse that she was in January, February, and March. But the one race I want to point to that I thought was interesting was back in March. She lost to a horse named Don't Call Me Mary, who went on to win that race and went on to win again. I thought that's a nice type of horse. And I think that AOC 25 is something similar to this claiming 35. Obviously, the money is different, but it's claiming. So all these horses are up for the tag. The race in April, starter allowance, I'm not sure what happened there. I really don't. I don't have any excuses for it. And the last time out, I thought she was okay. She was pressed the entire way. She's going 5 furlongs over a sloppy track that was scheduled for the turf. Finished 4th by 4 with Luis Saez aboard. Luis Saez was aboard in the final win that she had back in February 25th. Here against state-bred allowance optional claiming runners as well. So she's attracted good riders. To me, that always means something as well when breaking down this field. She's going to want the lead. She's going to need the lead. There are other horses in here that can get it, but she does have races that make her tough to beat. Now, I just don't know if she's passed those races. And we're going to see the last 2 or 3, definitely the last 2, were probably much better, even though she was the favorite. So we're going to find out what type of odds she has. She comes into here at 7-2, and I think that's fair. In terms of ranking these horses, she was my second choice behind the 4. So I went 4-3-2 in that order. But I think that's just a horse that gets Emi Sail Jaramillo back, who was aboard back in April, 2 starts back. I think this is tough. I'm with you on the 2 and the 4. I think these 3 are kind of a cut above the rest. And I do think the 3 has a legitimate shot if she can run one of her better races, even though we don't have evidence of that in the last couple.
I think with the 2, the big thing he or she, I should say, is definitely a Ricky's Rocket type of horse. Just a very consistent horse, always around, always with a chance. So that one obviously makes sense. The one you didn't use is actually one I like quite a bit, and that's the 5 Sprout Wings. Look, he's won 2 races in a row. Last time out was pretty sharp, going 6.5 furlongs against Allowance Company right here at this track. Won by a half length. That was off a little bit of a freshening, about 3 months off. Now comes back in about a month, and so kind of trying to get back in that normal form cycle. I think we could see a little bit of an improvement from this horse today, and if we do, I think she's right there. I like the 6-1 price, and so I definitely thought this is one that we need to throw in here. Curious with the 5 for you to leave off. Was it just kind of a situation you think this horse has to improve just a little too much to get the job done?
She's in form. Like, I just don't know if the numbers are as good enough. When I look at some of these others, I just think they're a touch better. I'm with you on the price, and I'm with you on the connections, trainer connections, and the jockey connection. Like, she's not impossible. This was the horse I put fourth. So I actually put this horse ahead of the 1. I didn't have I guess I would have, if I had to rank, I would rank the 6 last. I'm pretty sure we're in the same boat there. And then the 1 I put 5th. So I do have this 5 and 4th. I just thought well, we'll get to these. The 7th and the 9th were a little bit trickier for me. But at the same time, she's not horrible. I don't know if she's quite as fast as some of these others at their best. Like, she's gotten the speed. She did it at 10-1 last time. I don't think she'll be 10-1 here. I would have liked to see a better price, and it's not entirely her fault. 6-horse field, you're not going to get 10-1 unless you're the 6 who just doesn't really belong. So from your perspective, I don't hate the 5 at all. I'm not going to talk you off that horse.
So the reason I used the 1, and that was my 4th horse in. So if you're going 3 deep, this would be the one I would leave out. But I went 4 deep here, made the decision to do that. The reason I used the 1, first off the claim last time out, this horse really showed a huge improvement, I felt like, from where she had been at the last couple of races. And I thought, you know what, one more little jump, and she's right there. And again, it's another one. I like the price. I don't fully trust the 2 and the 4 as far as winning. I think they're going to show up. I think they're going to run decent races. I just think they have a little trouble winning, and I think they're ripe for somebody to kind of beat them at a bigger price, which is why I use that 1 and 5 here. I don't know. I just think the 1, again, just like the 5, I think you can project a little bit of an improvement. And with the 1, it's second off the claim. After already improving first off the claim, maybe we can see that jump up again. It's all about your confidence in the 2 and the 4. Those are our 2 common ones, or the logical horses here. I just didn't have a ton. Now, one horse that I guess I'm going to be mad if this horse wins, is the 3, because I thought about that one for a long time too. Same trainer as the 1. I don't know, that form has not been great, and that's why I left that horse off. Are you a little bit worried about that, or are you like, well, we're back where we belong kind of class-wise here?
Yeah, and that's kind of, for me, it was just a class thing for the 2, 3, and 4, and the 5 on a class thing fits well. Also, the thing about the 5, and I'm just second guessing here, the 5 goes to win an allowance optional claim in 25,000 at 10-1, and he grabs the lead and never looked back. Why is she dropping in for a tag here? That's concerning to me. It's not like she was poor. Like, the 3 hasn't been great, so I get it. The 4 hasn't won since last October. The 2 hasn't won since 2020 as well, so I get it. The 5 kind of seems like that horse that's going the right direction. Keeps Miguel Vasquez. It's like, why are we dropping back in for a tag? That's the part I just don't understand. And Terry Pompey is a very good trainer, winning at 18% when I downloaded this. Miguel Vasquez winning at 15% when I downloaded this a few days ago. It's not like she's not talented. This horse is talented. She's won 2 of her 3 races. I'm just confused as to why they're dropping her in here. She won less than a month ago. It's not like she hasn't won in many months. So I just don't know what that's about. I don't know if I'm sure there's another spot that they could keep her protected, but they're willing to give her away. So that's kind of where I'm at. I had to pick apart the 5 to not use her somewhere. So that's where I was.
Yeah, sometimes these mid-level claimers are really the hardest ones to figure out the trainer intent. What are the trainer, wanting to do here? So yeah, I definitely think this is just kind of just a tricky little race to kick off the late pick 4. We talked that one to death. I feel like we really covered all the horses well there. Let's go on to race number 7. We move to the turf now. 12-5 claimers going 1 mile on the turf here. 3-year-olds and upward. Another solid field of 10 horses, no scratches once again here. Again, this is another one I think you could lean a lot of different ways. Kind of take us through what your thoughts are on this one.
Well, we only had one different horse in here again. We both are using the 1, 6, and 8. So I'll just talk about the 1 and the 6. Dropping out of these types of races, right, for the 1, these, back in April, twice kind of ran in these claiming condition types of events, similar, and ran pretty well. The 20,000 level condition won by a nose, and then they stepped this horse up to starter allowance. He just wasn't good enough, and now we haven't seen him for a while. Maybe there was an injury, maybe there was a reason this horse was forced to the sideline. I don't have any information on that, but you can kind of see that he's my type of horse. He's always going to run you a good race on a scale of 1 to 100. At this level, he's usually going to give you like a mid-90s, not buyer, just grade. In these types of spots, he just is very consistent, and I think he makes sense. Again, you use the horse as well. I thought the 3 was interesting as well. If we're throwing the last race out, the starter optional claiming 8,000, he did win over. Now, it was a sloppy track, going at the 12-5 level by 5.5. Maybe that's the reason that you didn't want to use him, because some of these turf efforts haven't been nearly as good. But that was dominant. And if he can run that race on the turf, even if it's not as good as that, he might still be able to win, because that was so much better than what any of these horses have really shown as of late. The King's Joy thing is interesting because he might be a better dirt horse. To be honest, he's only had 7 dirt efforts compared to the 21 turf efforts, 3 wins over the dirt. So now Daniel Pita going to try this horse back on the turf after the claim. I don't know. Maybe he's just a better dirt horse. But I'm still going off of that effort. I know it's a sloppy track. He really, really kicked clear. That's probably one of the more convincing performances we've seen in a while. So I didn't want to completely absolve that effort just because we're getting to the turf here. If he's able to run anything close to that on the grass, I think he's a pretty clear-cut top choice for me.
Yeah, the deal is here, and we talked about this a lot when we covered Gulfstream Park, like I said earlier in the year and even last year. Races like this, you want horses that are forwardly placed when they're running on the turf for this low of a price. And that's why I think the 8 just makes a ton of sense, right? I just think this horse gets out to the front and gets it done. And I think the 8 can get a very similar trip than what he got last time out, where he won at this level, going a mile and 16th. And now you're shorting up to a mile. I don't think it's a problem. But again, they're claimers and they're hard to trust. And that's why you have to go a little deeper, in my opinion, in these races. I used, like I said, we used the 1, we used the 6. The 4, that's the one you didn't use. I'll go over the 4 right now. Rocket Joe Copper. It's an odd horse, right? Last time out, blows away and off the turf field by 7 lengths, but that was not a great race. Has better turf form if you look kind of 3, 4, 5 races back, running numbers that were very competitive here. I don't know. I just think getting back to the turf will help. You look at the race 4 back, which was a very similar condition to what we have now. Only got beat a half length. Then they tried the dirt and it was a mess. Then they moved up a little bit in class and claiming price going this distance, and it wasn't good. So I don't know. I think getting back to 12K claimers, 1 mile on the turf, I just thought there was enough there with the 4, and also 6-1 with pretty good connections. I just thought I needed to throw that horse in.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I didn't hate that horse at all. That was a nice race last time out as well, to kind of to your point. We could really break these claimers down all the way through, right? I mean, I think we can make a case for some and a case against pretty much all of them. I'm curious to know what he really faced, because if you're 7-by-7 at one point in the race, and then you end up winning by 7, I don't need to know. No one needs to tell me what if that was a suspect field or not. They did go extremely fast as well, 45 flat. That's pretty much telling you that I'm not looking at the actual race chart, but I'm guessing everyone who was on the lead pretty much fell off a cliff. That's my guess. I mean, 45 flat over a sloppy track for these types of horses that haven't won a race in 6 months is brutal. I mean, that's brutal. That's like, seriously, that's like Nick's Go type of fractions, and he's arguably the best horse in the country. So it's pretty tough for him not to close. Now, Sammy Camacho picks up the mount again. That's fine. But even in some of these races, again, like, this horse has at least better turf efforts than the 3. So I will give you that. I'm still not sure if the 3 is a better dirt or turf runner. It seems like the 4 is. I mean, I don't know. We'll find out. I don't love this race. I went deeper here. I could easily see using the 4 as well and making this ticket $60. I just didn't love him. But again, I don't really love any of them, to be quite honest.
That's the problem with the sequence. It's hard to find that race you want to go short in when they're claimers, and they're just, none of them are really that good or are going to stand out on paper, and you just kind of got to pick and choose who you trust. I didn't trust anybody in here. That's why I went a little bit deeper there, 4 deep in this one. All right, let's go to the 8th race on the card. Guess what? We're still with claimers. I thought this field, as far as quality of talent, I don't know. I thought it was a little bit better. $35,000 claimer going 1 mile. We're back on the dirt for this one. 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds and upward, which have never won 2 races. So that's the condition. A field of 8, again, no scratches. You gotta love that about Gulfstream. Not very many scratches when it doesn't rain there. Like I said, I thought there were a little bit higher caliber of horse in this race. I just went 3 deep here. Tell us what you thought of this one.
I think I've asked you this before, and it's actually, I'm going to change the question a little bit. This is for 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds and upward, which have never won 2 races. So what does that mean? It's very simple. You haven't won 2 races. There are a lot of horses, and I saw this the other day, a lot of horses in here that have 2 wins on the card.
Okay, it's for 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds that haven't won 2 races. So if you're a 3-year-old, you could win multiple races. But if you're an older horse, you only have it's the condition of never won 2 races.
Okay, I'm happy you brought that up, because someone asked me the other day, and I wasn't entirely sure. There was also a race at Saratoga that we were up there for. It might be opening weekend, and there was something that we couldn't figure out in the language as well. Okay, so I'm happy we cleared that up. I still, now that you do break that down, it doesn't really change for me. I kind of think the 4 and the 5 are just the best horses in here. The 4 has that speed that I think, forget about that turf race. He wasn't horrible in it, but I just don't think that's really where he wants to be. He has talent, and he's my type of horse. Juan Carlos Avila has done a decent job with him off the claim into the spring, into the summer. His problem is that he just doesn't win. I mean, 9 seconds in 23 starts, 4 seconds in 7 starts just this year, 4 seconds in 12 starts last year. I mean, he is the perfect, underneath horse, but he is the morning line favorite, and he does kind of fit. And with that being said, I think he needs to be used. If you even go back to his, races, 3 back, we'll use that one for example. I mean, he should have been better there as well. He was 5-2, and he didn't really do all that much. But you look at some of these horses, and they just, I don't know, they just don't look great. I'm really all in on the 5, to be quite honest. And then I'll let you talk about those in the 6. Demena tries the dirt for the first time and absolutely rolls. Now, I understand why they debuted this horse on the turf. Well, not only debuted, but ran second race on the turf, and that's because of the Flintshire influence. I completely understand that. But that dirt effort is probably better than anyone else. He was the favorite in that spot, so maybe he was just that much better on paper. But I know, Aaron, you're not the biggest workout guy.
Mm-hmm.
His last 2 works on the dirt leading up to that race were really, really quick. Now, he doesn't have a recorded work, at least since then. But maybe this is just one of those weird situations where turf pedigree, he's better as a dirt horse. For me, I think the 4 and 5 are good enough. I think the 4 we kind of know what they are, and I think the 5 is going to show that he's just a better dirt horse.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the 4 and 5 would be tough here. I actually put the 5 on top just because of what you pointed out. The 4, 23 starts, 1 win. I'm just really concerned about that. Where the 5 is kind of we don't really know. 1 on the dirt last time out looked pretty good. A lot of times in these situations, you'll take that new shooter, so to speak. So the 5 made sense to me. I also added the 6, and you may look at the 6 and go, that's a really dumb ad. And I get it because the form is not good, right? Lost by 10 last time out, lost by 16 the time before, lost by 17 the time before. Listen, they ran this horse in the Smarty Jones, okay? And obviously it didn't go well. Cattle River cruises and beats them. Then they put him in another stakes and then put him in allowance. Now he drops all the way to the claiming ranks. I just think it could be a situation where they thought this horse was better than what it was. And now that we're back amongst our friends, so to speak, I thought it was worth a shot at 10-1, especially when we're talking about the 4 and 5, and the 5's coming out of a maiden claimer, into now a claiming, facing winners for the first time. And the 4 has won 1 out of 23 starts. To me, it just kind of had that feeling of, well, let's take a shot with the 6 here. We know this horse has some class, or at least has been running against tougher. So I took a little swing at adding the 6 in there as well. Cindy says she thinks between the 5 and the 7, the 7 Joshy Jack, that was a horse that I just left off. I was debating between the 6 and 7. The 7, ran at this level going 6 furlongs last time out. Didn't do too bad. Stretch out to a mile now. What did you think of the 7, Ricky?
Yeah, I just don't. Your last point was the one that got it for me. I just don't want him going longer. I think he's better sprinting. The Kozan influence suggests that he's going to be better sprinting as well. He's talented. He is talented, and he has finished in the money 6 out of 7 starts. This is the horse I ranked 3rd, so it's not like I'm completely against. I'm just not sure if he is truly going to be best going at this distance. The only time he did, he finished 3rd by 5.5, pressed the lead early, moved out into the turn and lost ground with Louis Saez aboard back in January, the first start of the year. And he was the favorite. He should have done a little bit better than 3rd by 5.5. Only beat 4 horses or so in that race. On talent, yes, he fits. On distance and some other factors, no, but I don't hate him. I mean, 7-2 is a fair price. At least he runs to his odds when he's for the most part. When he's favored or taking money, which he does, he runs. Again, I just don't know if this is the right distance.
Yeah, it's he's definitely one that makes some sense. Kozan, a very good Florida bred sire as well. Yeah, I'm with you that coming out. If this race was at 6 furlongs, I probably would have put the horse on top. I'm just a little bit worried about that distance, but we'll see. I don't think it's a bad use at all. Pedlo says, Boomer, man, I'll say sooner back to you. We were not good week 1, Pedlo. We got to be a hell of a lot better. Maybe we'll talk about that coming up at the end of the show. Once we get through the 9th race, the final race of the day at Gulfstream Park, the final race of the sequence as well. We're back on the turf, 12-5 claimers again, going 1 mile for fillies 3-year-old so same thing for fillies 3-year-old or fillies and mares 4-year-old and upward, which have never won 2 races. So the same condition as the last race. We've got a large field here, field of 14. However, the 7 is scratched, the 12 and the 13, they are both scratched as well. So big field on the turf. I kind of went short here. I really like one horse, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so for me, and it's interesting, I didn't use this one. We both are on the 5, who should be the horse, one of the horses to use, and we both did. Um, I took a bunch of horses that are going to be trying winners for the first time. The 4 is going to be trying for the first time. Again, the 5 will skip for a minute. The 8 for the first time, and the 10 for the first time. Now, you asked me why I didn't use the 1 then. Fair question. At 4 to 5, she won. Now, she does look to be a better turf horse. I'll give you that. That 4 to 5, though, just kind of tells me that she was just supposed to win. I try to take horses, and for me, that I don't need a short price. Like, I want prices kind of coming back. So, for example, the 4 is going to come back at 8 to 1. The 10 is going to come back at 20 to 1. The 8 is going to be a short price. But I kind of wanted to mix up some prices. And that's kind of where it went for me. There's really no other reason than that. Some of these horses, like, again, we're talking about the 5 who just won at this level, and I'm not really sure who's supposed to beat her if she repeats that race. But I could see why you went with the 1. I just didn't, for me, I just didn't like the fact the 1 I think will take more money than some of the others I'm using. And we don't know how they're going to fare against winners anyway, to be quite honest. Like, they might be really bad as they have to face horses that have already won. So I will take a few bigger prices there, but I don't hate the 1 at all.
It's a situation for me. I think the 5 is way the horse to beat here. You look at how the pace may set up here. I think it's going to be fairly quick, and I think this horse just kind of sits right off. I like the human connections with this horse. I like that the horse won at this level, like you said, 2 races back, and that race was against 3-year-olds and up as well. So has a win against older horses. That's another positive for this 3-year-old filly. I think this race is pretty simple. I don't think there's anybody very good in it. And I think the 5 with the experience factor on some of these, as far as number of races and facing winners, like you were saying, a lot of these are facing winners for the first time. I think the 5 Brody's Honor is way the horse to beat. I did use the 1. Very good connections. And like I said, dirt races weren't great. Moved to the turf off of a layoff, gets second by a neck at 8 to 1, and then comes back at 4 to 5, like you mentioned, and won by a length and 3/4 in a maiden claiming race. My worry with the 1, $16,000 maiden claimers, they're not great. I don't think we need to explain how bad those races usually are, no matter where the track is. But it was at the distance of today's race, so I thought that was a positive. And like you mentioned, so many of these are very similar in the fact that they're facing winners for the first time, coming off of low-level wins in maidens. So I thought the 1 looked the best of that group, and so I threw that horse on the ticket as well. And it's another horse that I think can kind of stalk the pace and pounce. I look at it as, 3 or 4 horses are going to be kind of ahead of the 1 and the 5. I think they'll be pretty similar, like where they're placed. They'll get first run, and it'll be a duel between those 2 going down the stretch.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And for me, that's why I didn't want to use the 1 there necessarily, because if I don't know, to your point, if we don't really know how they're going to do against winners, I'll be much more willing to take a longer shot. I'm with you. The 5 is supposed to win. If the 5 runs that same race, no one's going to catch her. But again, it's more the lines of, well, who knows if any of them can step up, and I'll take a chance. Like, the 1 is 4 to 1, I think, morning line. I'm not looking right now. The 10, who we are looking at, is 20 to 1. Are we that much more sure that the 1 is that much 5 times as likely to win compared to the 10? I don't think so. Now, in the grand scheme of the race, sure, but I don't know. And the 1 kind of did it gate to wire, kind of just lumbering last time out, and then drew away. I'm not sure that is going to be nearly as good. I think the 5 will be a little bit more forwardly placed, and I think the 10 showed some speed as well. The 8 showed some speed. I just don't like, the best case scenario for me would be a long shot that's probably going to try to pick up pieces late and hope they just pass tired horses. But it's hard. This race isn't very good. You can make a case for a bunch.
Yeah, absolutely you can. I mean, it's a wide open affair if the 5 doesn't run well. I think if the 5 runs well, they're all running for second. But if that horse, and these are low level claimers, they don't just normally they don't churn out good races every single time. Oh, by the way, this horse lost by 10 lengths last time out, which was 5 days ago. So that's another factor. The 5 is not a surefire bet here, and usually a 12K claimer on the turf is not. But still, I do think the 5 is the class of the field. And yeah, Cindy says she likes the 2 in the 5. Let's talk about the 2 real quick. I actually thought about this horse. I'm afraid the pace is going to be too much for her, but her 1 race on the turf was not bad at Tampa this spring. Ricky, what do you think about the 2?
It's more of a connections play. I don't like Earl Robinson, and I don't really like Gadiel Martinez. The odds suggest that she's just not very good. Now, I'm with you. She did have a nice race on the turf last time out, but she was 37-1. It's hard for me to imagine a 37-1 shot coming out of that race and now running well here. You would also assume that the race last time out, I know it was 20,000 claiming conditions and all that type of great stuff on the dirt. You're supposed to do better than 52, almost 53-1, and the comment says no factor. It's really hard for me to bet a horse or use a horse when the comment says no factor. You're coming out of a grade 1 race, well, maybe we're having a different conversation. I mean, this is a drop in class, sure. I don't know. I would have needed a lot of horses before I get to this too.
Yeah, I couldn't quite get there either, but I did look at the horse for a while because the 1 turf race was pretty decent. Our Stephanie said went to Kentucky Downs, pretty cool track. Lost Wednesday, win yesterday. Overall, no harm done. That's good. I'm glad you had a good time. It's definitely a unique place for sure. Kentucky Downs, kind of a cool place. Maybe I don't know if you're going back tomorrow or not, but that's gonna be a hell of a card tomorrow. All right, Ricky, let's wrap up this Gulfstream Park late pick 4. Go ahead and go over your ticket now.
Yeah, so we'll start in race number 6. I went with the 2, 3, and 4. I'm just interested to see how this 3 runs, to be honest. She has races that make sense. If she doesn't run well again, it'll be up to the 2 and the 4. I think those horses are still a class above the rest, even though your 5 that you used, Sprout Wings, is interesting as well. In race number 7, I went 1, 3, 6, and 8. I want to see how this 3 runs coming back to the turf. That race 2 back at this level made a lot of sense, even though it was a sloppy track. Let's see if he can do it on the grass. Race number 8. I just went with the 4 and 5. I don't trust the 4 to win, but that 5 showed probably one of the best races we've seen in a while for any of these horses on the dirt. Maybe he's just a dirt runner. He seems to be quick in the mornings as well over the main track. And the last one, race number 9, I went 4, 5, 8, and 10. I'm with you, Halterman. If this 5 runs or the race she ran last time, which it's hard to kind of replicate those, she's going to win. Even if she doesn't replicate that and run something close enough, it's still probably good enough. So I went 3 by 4 by 2 by 4. That's a $48 ticket starting in race number 6.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough sequence when you have all claiming races. That's what makes this one pretty hard today. I went deep in the first 2 legs, 1, 2, 4, 5 in race 6, 1, 4, 6, and 8 in race 7. Went a little shorter. I think the 4 and 5 pretty tough in race number 8, but I do think the 6 might play an upset factor at 10-1. And then in the 9th, I was just pretty confident in the 5. I think that horse, if shows up, will be tough to beat. But I think the 1 facing winners for the first time is interesting. Could get first run of the leaders after kind of a stocking trip. $48 ticket for me as well. I think that's about right for this. I think it could pay decently here, but I don't think you need to put a whole lot more than over like $50 on this pick 4, unless you're going to play it for more than 50 cents. So both at 48 there, I think we're at about the right spot. All right, I'm going to give you the option. Okay, we can talk about the football games coming up this weekend, or we can talk about stakes racing from Kentucky Downs. I'm going to leave it up to you. Which one do you want to do?
Oh, let's do college football.
All right, college football. He's made his choice. I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a minute while I bring up the college football docket. What game specifically do you want to start off with?
Well, we could just go over the games that you guys talked
Okay.
on the. I don't know. I listened to about half. So if you want to do like your top 5 games, that's fine. Top 3, or games that you thought were interesting. It doesn't really matter because I was listening and I agreed with a lot and I disagreed with a lot. So we'll get to it. Not for good or bad, not like attacking you guys, just the way we saw games. Yeah, we could skip the game tonight. I don't know what that is. Coastal Carolina and Kansas. Kansas might, I don't know. It's funny, back to the first game. I'm not sure there's a difference with any other school between college football and college basketball like there is like this, where one is like everyone can't sit and wait to watch a Kansas basketball game, and literally everyone is running away from a Kansas football game. I'm not sure if there's another school like this in the country that's so vastly different between their main 2 sports.
Yeah, Kansas is, they're just awful. They're just pathetic. Coastal Carolina will probably murder them. Kansas should have lost to South Dakota last week, and it's bad. So there's nothing really to go over there. The first game was Oregon at Ohio State. Ohio State 14.5-point favorite. Over under looks like 63.5. What do you think here?
I kind of like Oregon getting the points. Now, not to win the game, just the points. That half, that hook, that 14.5 is a difference for me. Ohio State is much more talented, much. But I saw Minnesota put points up against Ohio State defense that I think is weak. The great thing about Oregon that's interesting, they travel well. And what I mean by that is they're going to bring their defense in their run game. They don't throw the ball a ton. They're not that explosive. Even in the days back to Marcus Mariota, there's a lot of bubble screens, things like that. I think Oregon can keep the game close and really test Ohio State. Again, CJ Stroud I'll give him a B- to B against Minnesota. That was not an easy game to open up as a freshman. I'll give him that. I thought he passed the test. I think he's going to be very good down the road. This is not an easy game. I don't know who made the schedule, but CJ Stroud will be tested in game number 2. I would lean Oregon taking the points, though. I think they could travel, play defense, run the ball, something in the Ohio State 31-20 range. I do think Ohio State does have enough firepower. And I don't really know if Oregon can keep up, but that just seems like a lot of points for a 3 versus 12 matchup for me.
Ohio State rolls in this game. It will not be close. Ohio State will easily cover this. I think it's a 3 or 4 touchdown win. So I'm going to go Ohio State here with ease. We have a question. What is the North Dakota-Utah State line tonight? Okay. Well, I'm going to look this up since we're going off the cuff. Utah State is a 6.5-point favorite against North Dakota. I'm going to be honest, haven't really looked into this game much. I would think Utah State covers that, but
I don't know. You're asking. I honestly don't know. I'm not going to try to guess. I don't know. I haven't watched a Utah State game since Jordan Love left a few years ago, so I have no idea.
All right, 2:30 Central Time up at Boulder, Colorado. That'd be 1:30 Mountain Time. They host the Texas A&M Aggies. Colorado, a 17-point home dog. What are you looking here? Texas A&M, Colorado.
Easily Colorado. And here's why. And one of the things that I learned about college football betting and just betting in general, but more in college football, 17 points is the line, right? Mm-hmm. First of all, that's a push. If it's 2 touchdowns and a field goal, assuming there are no 2-point conversions and whatever, that's a push. Second thing is the over-under is only 50. That's pretty low. And we're going to get to another game with Iowa State as well. That's extremely low. With that being said, Vegas is basically saying that this is going to be what? Like a 33-17 type of ball game, 34-17. Colorado can't score 17 points. And that's what Vegas is saying. That's not what I'm saying. It just seems, and I know your dad made the point last night, I think Boulder's going to be rocking for this game. Top 5 team coming in, an SEC team. former Big 12 as well. So there's some rival. I know it's been a long time since they played each other in the Big 12, but there's still some rivalry there. Colorado has some players. They have a running back. Forgot his name. He is extremely talented, and Colorado gets players like pretty under the radar type of guys. They had Tony Jones a few years ago. They had Steven Montez, who I think got a shot in the NFL. I think that's just too many points for me at home. And A&M did not look great in their first game. I know they ended up, I think you said yesterday that they ended up covering. I saw the box score. Again, I was not around at all last weekend. This is a game that's scary, I think, for A&M. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is a game into the third quarter. A&M should pull away, but that's a lot of points to give up when the total's so low for me.
Yeah, I agree. I took Colorado plus 17, and then Papa Dude locked up Colorado plus 17 as his lock of the week. I secretly, he wouldn't say it on the air, I secretly think Papa Dude thinks Colorado is going to beat Texas A&M. So we'll see if that happens. I don't want to say that for sure, but I secretly think he believes Colorado could pull an upset here. So
I don't hate it. This to me would be one of those things where I would try to find like an adjusted line and see if I can maybe get like a 9.5 so I can get some better juice, and they look at your various sports books, because I think it'll be much closer than the 17. I don't know if they're talented enough to really win the game outright, but it should be a good game.
Yeah,
sure.
I think it'll be a good game. I'm with you. I don't think they're talented enough to win it, but I think they keep it close. All right, college game day this week is Iowa at Iowa State. Believe it or not, the Cy-Hawk Trophy is where college game day is at. Iowa State, a 4.5-point favorite in this game, despite only beating Northern Iowa by 6 last week, and despite Iowa rolling a ranked opponent in Indiana. Over under 46.5, so they're projecting a low-scoring game in terms of college football standards. Where are you going here with the Cy-Hawk Trophy?
Oh, I'm taking the points again. I'm taking the point. I've never been a fan, ever, of Matt Campbell. I'm sorry. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he is that upper echelon. There are too many times that he was up for an NFL job. I'm pretty sure he was interviewing for NFL jobs. I don't know if it was this offseason, maybe 2 off seasons ago. This style, and I know you'll agree with me here, and this is why I don't like Iowa, big picture as well. This running the ball, playing defense will not win you anything. It just doesn't in college football anymore. Now, that's not to say you can't be the best team in your conference. I know you disagree, and that's fine. Iowa State, they continuously lose games when it's low scoring like this. And I'm trying to find the last time that Matt Campbell has that signature win. Now, I know they didn't play Iowa last year as well, but they're just they score against teams that they should score against. For example, we can go to last year. Oklahoma, they scored 21. That Oklahoma defense was better towards the end of the year. Even to your point, you told me they look like shit against Tulane. To be quite honest with you, this year, they didn't look that good. They scored against West Virginia. They barely scored against Texas. They barely scored against Oklahoma State. That was the first Oklahoma game. I know this is last year. They have some offensive weapons that I think in a better type of like Oklahoma system, I think would be great. With that being said, the play for me is the under. I would take the points. I think this is a drag them out 24-21, 24-17. I would take the points if you asked me to pick. I'm going under. I like Kirk Ferentz more than I like Matt Campbell, to be quite honest with you. Not long-term like NFL potential. I'm just saying like the style. Iowa State plays Big Ten football, but they do it in the Big 12. It's weird. I'm pretty sure if Oklahoma played Iowa State right now, they'd win by 3 touchdowns as far as I'm concerned. I think the talent gap is huge. We're going to find out. I know you'll take Iowa State, so we'll find out after this game.
No, absolutely. I'm taking Iowa, number one. I took Iowa plus the points, 4.5. I think it's going to be a very, very, very close game. I think you're very, very knowledgeable about all sports across the board, probably even more than me, I would say. But I think the one flaw you have is you don't take into account where a coach is coaching. Iowa State is a absolutely atrocious place to try to win football games. Matt Campbell has done such a good job, not only getting this team to the upper echelon for the last 3 years, But keeping them there, it's so hard to do. Getting good players at Iowa State is so hard to do. He's fantastic. He's one of the best coaches in the country. And you know what? If you put him somewhere where they could easily get talent, I think he would outcoach most of the people in the country, other maybe than like a Nick Saban type or Dabo Sweeney type. The upper echelon of coaches. As far as this game is concerned, I just can't take Iowa State 4.5 and give these points. I just can't do it. This game is historically so close, and Iowa State has had trouble beating Iowa. And you come out of that first game where Iowa looked very good and Iowa State did not. I just think this game's a field goal one way or the other. So I think the safe bet here is Iowa plus the 4.5. I just cannot give 4.5 in this kind of rivalry game where the game's always close.
First of all, I completely agree with the Iowa point. They made Indiana look like a D2 football team. Yeah. I watched highlights of that game on Tuesday morning, just going through, and I was like, oh, Indiana, Michael Penix is back. Freifogel is back. They weren't back against Iowa. I don't know what that was. And I don't remember the line. I'm guessing it was Iowa by less than a touchdown. Somewhere between
Iowa was a 3-point favorite going into that game.
That was the most brutal thing to watch because I don't know if that says something about Iowa or what it says potentially about Indiana. It's still a great win. I'm with you. Forced to pick. I'm taking Iowa, but I think the under is the safer play. Again, drag them out, running the ball defense type of game.
Yep, I think that's what it's going to be. Okay, here we go. Texas and Arkansas. The Longhorns travel to Fayetteville to take on the Razorbacks. Texas, a 7-point favorite on the road here. This was my lock of the week. I locked up Texas. I just think the talent gap is still going to be a little large for Arkansas to keep this one within 7 points. So Texas -7 was my lock of the week. What did you think of this one?
I'm with you. I'm not at the lock of the week type of pick, but I'm completely with you. Excuse me. This guy, Coach Sark, can coach offense. I don't know what he does on the defensive side. I don't know if he's like Andy Reid, where he just talks to Mahomes when the team's playing defense. It doesn't seem like Andy Reid is concerned with defense, and that's fine. That's why they have a defensive coordinator. Same kind of thing with Sark. I think this team's going to put up points. Can Arkansas score enough with Texas? I don't think they can. I really don't. If Texas comes out, again, the line is 7, so we're looking at a 31-24 type of game, according to Vegas. That's the information they're giving you. Maybe a 34, that's a little too high. 35-20. Well, that's not right. But, something like that. If Texas can come out in the high 20s, I think that's going to be enough. I just don't trust Arkansas enough on the offensive side, but I'm with you. You're at a 10 out of 10, clearly, on Texas here.
Yep.
I'm about a 9. I'm pretty close. I think this Texas team, to me, they've always been second in talent in that conference. I think they're going to finish second in the conference this year. I still think Oklahoma will be the best team in the conference. I never wavered. It's weird, right? Iowa State versus Texas, clash of, differences there, defense versus offense. We'll find out what they're made of, but I'm with you. I'm with Texas here. I didn't really give this one much of a thought. Would love to see 6.5 though. Definitely would like to see that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. You don't have to worry about the push. Pedlo thinks Arkansas could beat Texas. What path do they have to beat them? That's the thing. Texas is going to have to play bad. I think that's what it's all about. And they could. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere. Obviously, first road trip for Texas of the year. Trust me, it will be rocking at Fayetteville Saturday night. But that's only can carry you so far. I don't think the Razorbacks have the talent. And I think that's what it comes down to. I think they keep it close for a while, and I think Texas pulls away. Pedlo asked about this game, and I thought this was interesting as well. Can Appalachian State beat Miami? Miami, a 9-point favorite. Listen, yes, I think Appalachian State can beat Miami. What about you?
No, I can as well. I can as well. I think they can as well. Excuse me. Yeah, I've Appalachian State is always one of those teams that no matter where they go, unless they're playing like in Alabama, which they won't, they always can contend against these, I'll say, upper tier type of teams. And Miami for a long time has been upper tier. They're just not the same that they used to be. I think maybe it was the 2000 team. It was like one of the best college football teams ever assembled. Kellen Winslow Jr., Ed Reed, on and on and on. But I think Appalachian State, they play a defensive run the ball style. Miami also wants to play that way. If you were I didn't think we were talking about this game. That seems like a lot of points to me. And Miami was dreadful. Now, I know it's Alabama. I know Alabama destroys everyone week one. They played Duke a few years ago, and it doesn't seem to matter. Alabama's just ready, and they're grown men. Miami looked horrible. Like, I remember Duke looking better against Alabama a few years ago, and this was Bryce Young making his first start. Bryce Young looked like Jameis Winston, who had in his first start when he played Pitt on that Labor Day night many, many years ago. So I'm kind of with you. I don't know if they're going to win. I think they can. The points just seems like a lot to me. If I would stay away, but I would take Appalachian State if forced to pick.
I'm the same way. I did not pick this game. I'm not going to bet this game, but if I had to pick, I would take Appalachian State plus the 9. I'm with you. I think it's too much. I wanted to throw this comment up because Arkansas almost beat Georgia last year was the comment. The final score of the game was Georgia 37, Arkansas 10. That's almost exactly what I'm talking about. Arkansas was ahead at the half, 7-5, oddly enough. And it was emotion, and they were playing hard, and you could tell maybe Georgia wasn't quite ready, and Arkansas was playing with their hair on fire, and they were playing great, and they kept it close for a while. But the talent always wins out. And now, is Texas as good as Georgia? No, but they don't have to be, right? They can still pull away and win by more than 7. That's why Texas is my lock, and I think it'll be very similar. If Arkansas is ahead at the half in the Texas game, I'm not going to be shocked. But if Arkansas covers the spread, I will be shocked. Talent always wins out, and I think that's what's going to happen there. All right. Let's see. There was one more. Did I miss it? I thought there was one more I wanted to cover. Maybe not. No, that was all we did. That's right. No, we did. I'm sorry. There was one more. And they're not in the top 25. That's why I missed it. I'll pull it up now. Washington and Michigan. We thought this is almost like a trap game almost because Washington, of course, loses to Montana opening weekend 13-7, where Michigan wins and looked decent in their first game. Michigan a 7-point favorite as the Huskies come to Ann Arbor. Where are you going here, Michigan, Washington?
This is your classic draw 'em up type of game. And what do I mean by draw 'em up? I mean, you got two programs. Well, first of all, Michigan is like an all-time program. Then you got the Washington thing where they just lost. And when I mean by draw them up, it's like, yep, let's draw up a storyline. I could care less about this game.
I couldn't either. I don't care about this game. I probably will not watch this game. 1 second of it.
It's so boring on paper to me that this is, again, the draw them up. And I guess it's on ABC. So the ABC team will have to draw them up. Let's draw up storylines for this one because I think Harbaugh is a lame duck coach. I think Washington, after Chris Peterson left, is not down the drain, but they're going to be well on their way to a mediocre program as far as I'm concerned. Michigan loses Ronnie Bell. I think that's his name, Ronnie Bell, the wide receiver. He's going to be done, I think, for the year. I don't know. I wish this game wasn't on the schedule, to be quite honest with you. I just have so little interest. I can't believe this is the ABC game of the week. If forced to pick, I would take Michigan because the fact that Washington lost to Montana is really embarrassing. So that's where I'm at. Did you pick this game or did you guys skip this one?
We did pick it. My dad wanted to pick it. It was Michigan -7. We both took, and we were both like, this game sucks. OU plays at 6, and I'll be at that one, so I will not have this one turned on. I'll probably have Texas and Arkansas on the phone watching it while the OU game's going on. So, yeah, I'm not interested in this one as well. I'm glad you said that. It's very
let's talk about the two teams. Syracuse, real quick. Syracuse and Oklahoma. I think my game will be more exciting because we're playing Rutgers. Rutgers comes in as a 2.5-point favorite. What do you think about Rutgers? I can't remember the last time Rutgers came to Syracuse. It must have been the Big East days and were a favorite. It must have been like Ray Rice. Is Rutgers going to win, or what do you think? It's, again, another boring matchup as far as I'm concerned, but I will be watching.
Well, first of all, let me point out, if you want to go watch Tua's little brother play football, Maryland plays Howard, and you can go for $3. So
Talia. Watch Talia play football.
You can go to the Maryland Howard game for $3. That's incredible. I'll pull up. I'm not going to pull up Oklahoma because there's not even a line for that one. We play Western Carolina. We won't know anything. This is actually a really interesting game. By the way, Ricky, if you want to go to your alma mater and go watch the Orange, $8 will get you in to the building. Listen, Rutgers, Syracuse. I thought they looked good. I looked at their box score, kind of looked at the drive charts. That was pretty impressive. I did not watch it. But Syracuse, I kind of thought they would lose to Ohio, and they win, and it really wasn't close. This is a toss-up. I'll take Syracuse in the points. I'll take Syracuse +2.
Okay, so this is my question to you. Now that you said that, why wouldn't you just take Syracuse to win the game? Because to me, when you get to 2.5, it's like I might as well just take them, especially the home team. The road team, we might have a different conversation. I actually like Rutgers, so I don't mind giving the 2 because the money line probably around sitting 150. It's usually 20 cents on the dollar for each point, something like that. So, usually get your spreads at -110. That means they're probably going to be about -150. I'll take Rutgers, to be quite honest. I thought they looked much better against Temple than Syracuse did against Ohio. I was supposed to go to that Rutgers game, that Thursday night game. The Hurricane canceled it. Well, not canceled it, postponed it. Would you consider it, again, not that you have to take Syracuse, but would you consider them just taking the money line if you were going to take the 2? Because it's such a low spread. You might get it like 1.5. It's kind of like you might as well just get the +130. It'll never be 150, 150. It'll be like 150 to 130. To me, it kind of makes a little sense.
I'll be real honest with you. As soon as this show's over, I won't think about this game again until I'm at the hotel after the OU game scrolling through the scores, and I will look at it at that point. I'm not going to bet this game. I'm not going to touch this game. I don't care about pluses, minus, points, money lines, spreads, over-unders. I don't give a shit about this game.
Well, it's not about the game. It's about I'm just saying the premise in general. When you get, that 1.5 point home dog, to me, it just makes sense to maybe take the money line. Not Syracuse. Just, I'm saying a betting nugget.
Yeah, it always, to me, in my opinion, when we get down to 1 or 2 points, it always just makes sense to take the money line because the odds of it coming down to 1 or 2 points just aren't very good. I do agree with that point for sure. So, okay, if you want to get technical, if you put a gun to my head and said you have to bet, I guess I would take the Syracuse money line here against Rutgers.
You don't have to wait until the Oklahoma game, by the way. It'll be over before you walk in. I don't know when you walk into the stadium, but before they kick, this game will be over. So you don't have to wait.
Unless you text me the winner, I will not know the score. There'll be so many other games going on, and that's not going to be on my radar.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I agree. It might not be on my radar either, to be quite.
Well, I guarantee you, well, now that I say it, maybe not, but I guarantee you that if I hadn't have said this, you would text me and tell me if Syracuse won or lost.
Well, again, if you scroll up and down, there are just so many more games that are intriguing to me. It's not like, I'm honest, like this game's not intriguing. I'll check in because it's Syracuse, but I'm not going to be like, you watch every Oklahoma game before the kickoff till the final whistle. I'm not that way about Syracuse football. I am that way about Syracuse basketball. So if it's close, I'll watch. If it's a blowout, I won't. Like, that's just the way I am. There are just so many more games. But one quick Oklahoma storyline for you. It's not, we don't have to talk about the game because it shouldn't be before the game even kicks off, but is it maybe the defense showing some improvement, Rattler showing some improvement, maybe something in the run game? Is there anything you're just looking forward to saying like, let's improve on this?
Let's see. Who is EKU? Is that Eastern Kentucky. So Western Carolina, who comes to Oklahoma this week, lost to Eastern Kentucky week 1. So the answer to that question would be what, Ricky?
No. I asked you to look into an Oklahoma thing that you're just looking at as a fan.
There's nothing. I'm just going to the game because it's what I do. I will take 0, 0, nothing, 0, zilch, nothing. If Western Carolina gets minus 37 yards total offense, I won't care. If Rattler throws for 700 yards, I won't care. This means absolutely this is absolutely meaningless in every single way imaginable this week. There's nothing you take from it.
Well, unless it's a tie game at halftime. Which
the only way you take something is if it's negative.
Yeah,
There's no positive that comes out of this game other than maybe no injuries. That would be the one positive.
Right. Well, right. We're not going to, I agree. You could only take a negative out of here. Like if it's tied at if it's tied at halftime, you won't be a happy camper.
If it's tied 5 minutes into the game, I'm not going to be happy. No, but that's just what it is.
No, I know. I'm with. I'm trying to draw it up.
Last week, you play Tulane. Okay, and Tulane should never play you within 5 points, but it's a Division I program. It's a program that has consistently the last 2-3 years been very competitive within their conference. That they've had winning records. They've been to bowl games. It's an opponent that has a pulse, right? So you can take some things away. If OU would have won that game, 45-10, you walk away feeling pretty good. It's like, well, this was a decent team. Even Nebraska, who's coming in next week, who's awful, but still, they have a pulse, right? So Western Carolina doesn't have that. It's a scrimmage.
I did find a line while you were talking. Do you want to take a guess on the line?
I can't believe there's a line for this.
It's on DraftKings. It's a real line.
40?
46 and a half.
46 and a half? Okay.
I couldn't find a first half line. That was the full game line. So I'm assuming the first half line will probably be like 31 and a half.
I bet OU covers 46 and a half.
The only reason I agree is because they look so bad against Tulane that, like, if they had blown out Tulane, I would maybe consider taking the points. But because they didn't, I shouldn't say look so bad. You're definitely a harder critic than me. They were bad. Like, I won't give them an F. First of all, again, you don't get an F if you win in my book. I don't care what the situation is. They're probably like a C-. I don't think they were in the D range. The C- will elevate them to wanting to absolutely destroy Western Carolina. And if they don't, it says something more about Oklahoma than it says about Western Carolina, because they should score a touchdown. They have 10 possessions. They should score a touchdown on 8 of them, and they should kick a field goal on the other one. I'll give them one where they have a bad fumble, a tipped pass, something like that. They should score 8 of 10, really, if they try. So, should be a blowout. Really should be.
Yeah, okay. Like you said, the key is they were so bad week 1, and the poor Western Carolina. I mean, OU has been laying for them now. Where before they would have showed up not ready. They're going to be ready to play tomorrow night.
Western Carolina would have been better off if they won like 52-7.
Oh, for sure, because they would have dicked around all week and still would have kicked their ass, but they wouldn't have cared. This week, I mean, they'll be motivated to play this week.
I will say that this has been a profitable thing for all college football teams, Alabama especially. If they get a big lead and it's like 35-7, consider taking the under in the second half, because Rattler will come out. I don't know who their backup is. I think it's a talented kid, though, that you were telling me about, who's like ready, but it's still backups. He'll be playing with backups. The O-line will be backups. They'll run the ball a lot if it gets to that point. If it's close, like 24-7, or where it's like, completely forget what I just said. But I'm just saying, if it's like a 38-7 and the game's over already, you might want to think about like a second half under or like a second half spread, because I think Lincoln Riley might pull them. Maybe not. I don't know. You know better than me, but.
Yeah, I think he'll pull him pretty quick. Our best quarterback is the backup, actually, so that'll be interesting to see him. See our best quarterback on Saturday. So.
Well, I know you hate Rattler more than any other Oklahoma quarterback that we've talked about. Now, I have a good history of Oklahoma quarterbacks since I was alive, or at least since I was like 6. We can go the Trevor Knight days, the Landry Jones days, the Sam Bradford days, all of which I don't know if Trevor Knight's actually better. You might think so, but he's not. No. Landry Jones was better in college, though. It was close. He was with Pittsburgh. Obviously, Bradford at Oklahoma was much better. But then even the transfers. I mean, you're such a Rattler hater, and he's probably going to be a top 5 pick, whether you like it or not. That's just the way it is. But you're right. Maybe we'll see the backup this week. I'm sure we will, even if it's handing the ball off a couple passes. I'm sure you'll get your opportunity to see what's in store next year or a couple years down the road, whatever the case may be.
No, I'm a huge Rattler fan. I want him to play well, and I want him to get drafted. So listen.
Yeah.
I'm not a hater, but I think it's a situation we've been very spoiled, and now we have him, and I'm not gonna get into it. He needs to play a lot better than he did the first week.
I agree. You are very spoiled. Not you, Oklahoma football fans, when it comes to their quarterbacks and wide receivers and tight ends. Extremely spoiled. So it's a high bar to live up to. I will give you that. Especially since Lincoln Riley's come in. It's like every quarterback seems to just not only be an NFL player, but like a Heisman winner or a Heisman front runner. And Rattler is what, like probably second in Heisman odds, something like that. Like he's up there as well. So he was one of the best quarterbacks coming out of high school. So I'm with you. You're not a Rattler hater, but you just want him as far away from Norman as possible. But you will have to change your tune if they do win a college football playoff game, because they haven't done that yet. So
I would love to change that tune, and I do think he has a lot of talent. I don't think he's quite figured out what it's supposed to be a quarterback at OU yet. Maybe he will. He got better as the season went on last year. Hopefully we do the same this year. All right, we're gonna wrap it up here. Before I go, I want to throw this comment up. I will be at Remington tonight. I don't know about Saturday, but I will be at Remington tonight. So if anybody's there, let me know. The wife and I will be down there having a good time. We're hoping to make it by the first race. I think we're going to be there by the first race, but if not, shortly after. Just depends on her work schedule. Of course, I'm packed up and ready. I've got the car running right now. I'm ready to go. I'm just kidding, but not really. But I will be there, and then the OU game on Saturday. So big weekend. Ricky, you had your big weekend last weekend. So I don't know what you got going this weekend.
Well, I'm going to the Yankee Met game tonight with a bunch of Met fans, and I'll be wearing my Yankee Derek Jeter Hall of Fame jersey. So we're gonna see how that goes. Hopefully, no one throws soda on it and ruins the shirt. Is it a night? I'll ask you on air. Is it not if for someone's birthday party? Not a birthday party. We're not little kids, but it's like a birthday celebration. They chose a Met game. Is it rude to show up in a Yankee uniform when everyone else is wearing? Okay, yeah, I didn't think so.
That's your team.
It is. Now, I wouldn't have done it if the Mets were playing the Marlins like they were last night, but they're playing the Yankees. I don't think that's out of bounds.
No.
Yeah. Or, they're
Yankees, Mets. You're going to a Yankees game. You got to wear a Yankees jersey. Come on. I went to a Browns Patriots game, and I had a Browns jersey on, and my family's all Patriots fans. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I'm like, if you're a Browns Patriots and you're wearing a Ravens jersey, you look like an idiot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But if it's the opposing team, I think it's a little bit more civil, right? Like a football game, I'd be a little bit more concerned. For a Yankee Met game that's in September, the Mets are like out. All right, so we're on the same page. I'll be taking some pictures, and hopefully the jersey doesn't get ruined. It was an expensive jersey. I don't want it to have soda or ice cream or ketchup on it. That's all I'm hoping for.
I will say, to wrap it up, I hate guy that wears jersey of another team of two teams that aren't like you're at a game with two teams playing and a guy's got a jersey of a different team. I don't like that guy. Don't be that guy.
No. Yeah, Yankee Met
just
game.
Wear a Nike shirt or an Under Armour shirt. You just dress like a normal human being.
I'm with you.
You don't have to tell everybody at the Mets Marlins game that you like the Yankees. You don't have to do that.
No, I'm with you. I don't like that guy either. I really don't. The only difference would be is if one player, and this is rare, if one player was like a Hall of Famer, like for example, if you were a Raven fan and Ed Reed played on the Texans for 1 year and you wore your Ed Reed, like legendary Ravens jersey, that's like the one exception to the rule. We don't have that now. That's not what we're talking about. Or like you wore your Indianapolis Colts Peyton Manning jersey to his first Bronco game. Like, okay, maybe that's like the exception to the rule, but I agree. Like 99% of the time, do not be that guy. Don't wear your Colts jersey to a Broncos Vikings game. You look like an idiot. I'm with you. We are on the same page.
Okay, yeah. I think we definitely are here. So, Ricky, have fun at the game tonight. Hopefully you guys pick up a victory. I don't really care either way, but hopefully for you, I'm rooting for you. Good luck, Syracuse. Hope you guys win. Don't care about that one either. And yeah, have fun to me because I'm going to be at Remington tonight and then the OU game tomorrow. Wife and I going down. We're excited for it. A couple stakes races at Remington too. So make sure to check that out tonight after the action this afternoon. So good luck to everybody this weekend and have a good, safe weekend. And hopefully we cash some tickets.